Cryopods, without a doubt, are the most efficient way to heal basically any type of wound. Cryoxidone heals brute, burn, air loss, and toxin as long as the person is below 150 Kelvin. Now, I have basically never seen cryopods used. A lot of people are convinced they're just straight up broken, but I can confirm they are not broken. They work just fine. I think the misconception that they're broken comes from the fact that people think that as long as a cryopod is cool, that's when the medicine works. What I'm going to do is I'm going to explain how the cryopods work very quickly. This is Bagel Station, by the way. And Bagel Station has a 2 or a 3 button click working cryopod. And I'm just going to assume, and you should assume, that Atmos has even bothered to turn on the distro, because that's literally all this requires. What you do here, if I turn on subfloors, you can see that this one is connected to waste, and this one is just pulling straight from the distro. Atmos terms, either way, don't worry about it. Bagel is set up, and on any map you wish, as long as you have a 3x3 room, you don't even need a 3x3, you can have like a weird 2x3 and do this. As long as you have this little bit of room, you can copy this exact setup in every single scenario. There is no reason you can't just directly copy this. So you just need an air intake pumping towards the cryopod. You need a freezer hooked up past the air intake, because you need to just cool the air in these pipes. And you don't necessarily need a way to pull the waste out, but you should, because carbon dioxide can build up. Well, this is just a gas filter, but what you do for this one is you set it to carbon dioxide. Yes, slimes don't breathe carbon dioxide, but there's not very many slimes typically on a station, so just deal with it. It'll be fine. If you have to, you gotta swap it to nitrous oxide when you put a slime in there if you really want to be efficient. And for this one, you don't have to put it to 73 Kelvin, but the problem is there's no way to view the actual temperature of a patient, and you need them to be below a certain temperature threshold that you just can't see. So by putting the freezer on the coolest setting possible means they'll freeze faster. And typically in med, you kind of want to work quickly because you never know how many people you're going to be treating. And especially if they're crit, time is not on your side. And if you take a gas analyzer, you can just view the cryopod, and if it's working, it'll be at the temperature of the freezer, which it takes a second to get there, which is negative 200 degrees Celsius or 73.5 Kelvin. 73.15 Kelvin, sorry. So this is an example of a patient, a human, who has taken 40 brute damage and blunt. And cryoxidone heals literally everything except cellular damage. So due to that, it is extremely strong. So all you do is you throw the patient into the pod, the cryopod, and if you left click the pod, it'll bring up their health. And you just gotta wait a little bit. If you were to inject... what you need is a beaker full of cryoxidone. It doesn't have to be full, but cryoxidone heals a ton. But you want just a beaker with much as we can, preferably filled. And just wait 15-20 seconds with the freezer at this temperature. You can't actually view their temperature, so you just have to wait. And if you don't have the cooler on the coldest, like I said, it takes much longer for them to hit the temperature required, which means you might waste time, you might waste cryoxidone, and so forth. Now that I've waited about 15-20 seconds, all you do is take the beaker and click on the cryopod. And if they're cold enough, they'll instantly start healing, which you can see here. They are instantly healing. And you can literally just keep opening and closing it. Walk out for a second. I mean, they're not going to die in there. They're totally fine. You know, do whatever you have to. Talk for a second. Come back and keep examining them. And as soon as they're healed, which this process happens very fast. As soon as they're healed, just alt-click to pull them out. Alt-click to pull your beaker out. And yes, you could be more efficient with this. You could have pulled the beaker out a bit ago to save resources. I would recommend doing that. This is just an example. However, due to the fact they're frozen, they're actually going to start taking some cold damage. And every race except lizards will really not have much of an issue with this. And especially in this room, you could just throw them on the bed real quick and just use 2 ointments on them. Like so, because ointment heals cold. And that's it. This person is fully treated. You don't even have to use the ointment. You can just have them lay in bed for half a second. That person would be fully treated of any wounds as long as you have cryoxidone. As long as it's not genetic damage, but genetic damage is pretty damn rare. It's very rare now. And that's really it. Slimes, like I said, produce a different type of waste. All you have to do is change it to nitrous oxide. And lizards do not do well with cold, so I guess I'll show you that really quickly. So as I was saying, lizards do not fare well with the cold at all. And this is a lizard who has taken 44 blunt, so keep that in mind. I'll throw them in the pod. And you gotta, like before, wait a few seconds. Even though they take more damage to cold, you still gotta wait just a little bit for the cryo to work. And you can always insert it early and just see when they're down the temperature. As you can see, it's not healing them, so it's not ready. So you can just pull the beaker out just to save resources. Wait a few more seconds. Beaker in. Nope, still not healing. Oh, there we go. Just got to be patient. And I'll let them heal all the way down full health. Either way, I could definitely pull it out now and save the rest of the cryo. They are 0 health. However, the second you pull them out, lizards do awful with cold. And as you can see, they will take cold extremely rapidly. Already have taken more damage than the human even could. And due to the fact that they take so much cold, you want to probably throw them into bed. And I would really only ever use cryo on critically wounded lizards. Because otherwise, you actually end up doing a shit ton of damage to them. Regardless, because of their awful cold stats. And, like, you could throw a coat on them and stuff, and they're still going to take a lot of damage. And, like, this is that's almost a full tube of ointment at this point. So that means you basically have to carry Derma, which also isn't amazing at healing cold damage. So I would only recommend using cryo on lizards that are not doing very good at all already. So, yeah, that's basically it. The rest of the species you can kind of just throw in there. You don't have to think too much about it. And yeah, that's realistically everything to know about the cryopods. It's not all that complicated. It's very, very, very good at healing people. And even in the worst case scenarios, like a crit lizard, you should still try to use cryo to bring them back because it's just still the most efficient healing. And they could just deal with the cold damage afterwards. You can just give them a derma pill, tell them to take 2 later. Or you can put them at bed until they're healthy, or just give them an ointment tube if you have extra ointment. Either way, being alive and hurt is a lot better than being crit, and they would still probably appreciate it. And that's all I got for you.